I've made my 3 sketches. I've picked out my favorite one, this one right here. I put a star at the top. I'm going to prepare to transfer this idea onto a piece of metal foil. So the very first thing I'm going to do is take my favorite idea, and I'm actually going to rip it right out of the packet. And the other 2 sketches, you could take those home if you'd like. Now I'm going to attach this sketch onto a piece of metal foil. This foil is aluminum, and it's the same type of material that a soda can is made of. All I'm going to do is just take my favorite design, I'm going to place it on top of the metal foil, and I'm going to use some tape, and I'm going to put a little piece of tape at the top of my mask, right up here, and then I'm going to put a little piece of tape the bottom of my mask, and this is going to make sure that my design doesn't wiggle around as I trace it. The next supply that I'm going to need for this today is I'm going to need some folded up construction paper. So I have these, basically they're just a paper cushion, some construction paper that I folded and taped on the sides for you. So you're going to take one of these, put it down on your table, and then you'll take your mask and put it right on top. So you can see I have my paper taped onto the metal, and then the metal is placed onto the construction paper cushion. The next thing I'm going to need is just a regular old pencil. Please don't use a mechanical pencil for this. They just don't really work the right way. They're a little bit too, the lead is a little bit too thin and a little bit too fragile, and it could break while you're doing this. So all you're going to do is take your pencil and you're going to trace over your mask. I'm just going to take my pencil, trace right over top of the lines that I've made. I'm pressing medium hard to do this. You don't have to press super hard, but you don't want to press lightly either. So I'm going to take my pencil and just trace everything. To check to see if this is working, to see if my design is pressing into the metal, all I have to do is take my mask and actually just flip it over. And right now you can see that the oval has transferred into the metal successfully. So I'm going to flip this back over and I'm going to continue working. So you can see I've traced my mask. I'm going to flip it over to check. Ooh, looks like I have everything. I'm missing one thing right down here. I'm missing my bottom lip. So I'm going to flip this back over and I'm going to trace it. One of the problems that kids sometimes have is something on their mask may not show up. And they come up to me and they say, Mrs. Hubbard, my eye didn't show up. Mrs. Hubbard, my cheek didn't show up. Well, the problem probably is that they forgot to have their construction paper underneath. If you try to draw on the metal without the construction paper, let me show you what will happen. You can see how right over there that barely showed up. So if you don't have that construction paper underneath your artwork when you're tracing, your design is not going to show up very well. Let me show you. I'm going to make the same lines, but I'm going to have the construction paper underneath. If I make those same lines, you can see how when I flip it over, those lines show up much, much better. So always make sure you have a construction paper underneath your artwork when you work. Now my design is traced all the way. I double checked on the back to make sure that everything is showing up. So what I'm going to do is take this, and I actually can take this sketch off right now. You can see my wonderful design right here pressed into the metal. I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm going to rewrite my name somewhere on the top. Mrs. Hubbard. And I'm going to write my teacher's name right underneath. And what I like to do is take my pencil, and if something hasn't shown up that well, I like to just press that part in just a little bit deeper. So I just take my pencil and I like to just kind of retrace some of my lines if some of them haven't come out that well. Okay, once I have that done, I'm going to be able to move on to the next step.